Welcome to the deep dive. So you've brought us some really interesting sources today. We're going to explore a unique place, Shingle Creek Regional Park in Florida.
hmm
It's described as an urban oasis,
hmm
and we're looking at it through the lens of, well, Nordic walking specifically.
Right. It's a combination of the place itself and a very particular way of experiencing it.
Exactly. So we've got these insights, these facts about the park, and then this reflection on moving through it. Our aim, really, is to see what this tells us about finding, inspiration, connection in nature, even in a busy area.
Yeah, even somewhere quite developed.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So first off, the material makes it clear this isn't just like any park,
Right.
Shingle Creek Regional Park. It's described as, well, significant, an urban oasis, as you said.
hmm
It even got designated one of America's great outdoors.
By President Obama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that signals it's pretty important.
That is a powerful label, especially tucked into an urban area. And the sources explain why, don't they? It's the actual headwaters of the Florida Everglades.
Exactly. The very beginning of that huge, iconic ecosystem. Thinking about it that way really gives you a sense of its importance. Historically and ecologically,
Yeah.
the sources say it was like a lifeline for early inhabitants.
And you can still sort of see that history.
You can. They mention that if you're paddling, say, near US 192,
Okay, the big road through Kissimmee.
that's the one, you might spot remnants of the old Florida Midland Railroad.
No kidding. From when?
It ran from 1890 to about 1950, right across the creek. So you've got nature and history, like, right there together.
So it's more than just a park trail. It's a historic waterway.
Yeah.
How does it fit into the bigger Florida picture?
Well, the creek itself starts up in Orlando,
Okay.
and it winds down about 23 miles, flows into Lake Tohobacolga. People usually just call it Lake Toho down in Osceola County.
Right, I know Lake Toho.
But the water doesn't stop there. Its journey keeps going south, a massive 350 miles in total.
350. Wow.
Yeah, through the Kissimmee chain of lakes, then down the Kissimmee River into Lake Okeechobee. And then eventually it makes its way out either to the Everglades proper or the Gulf of Mexico. It's the very, very start of a huge water system.
That is pretty striking, connecting this, urban oasis to
Right.
the entire Everglades. So given how important it is, how do the sources say you can actually, experience the park, get in there?
Mainly three ways, according to the material.
Right.
Foot, bicycle, or boat.
Right.
There's the Shingle Creek Regional Trail. It's multi-use, and the plan is for it to eventually be 32 miles long.
32 miles. Connecting where?
Kissimmee all the way up to Wekiva Springs State Park. So quite a connector trail.
That's ambitious. And for boating.
Yep, paddling access points. Places like Bab Landing and Steffi Landing are mentioned.
Gotcha. And the park itself, it's not just one big uniform area, is it? The sources talk about different parts, different parcels.
They do, and that variety seems key. For instance, Bass Road. That parcel is mentioned as the southern end, about 40 acres.
Okay.
Then there's Marsh Landing, noted for its public canoe and kayak launch. Importantly, it's ADA accessible, with restrooms and a deck.
Good to know. What else?
Pioneer Village sounds interesting, 160 acres. It has actual historical buildings you can visit.
Oh, cool. Like a living history place?
Sort of, yeah. And it's also habitat for wildlife, like the American bald eagle.
Eagles. Nice.
Then there's Ruba, described as more wilderness, 16 acres, hiking trails, a pavilion.
A bit wilder.
Seems like it. And then you have the Steffi Homestead. That's a preserved historic home built in 1911.
Wow, from 1911.
And right near it is Steffi Landing, where the sources say you can actually rent things. Bikes, canoes, kayaks, paddle boards.
Okay, so you don't necessarily need your own gear for the water.
Apparently not, at least at Steffi Landing.
So lots of different spots depending on what you're after. And the material mentions you can learn more at a welcome center.
Right, the Osceola County Welcome Center and History Museum for digging into the natural history and the culture.
So all these physical places, the history, the features, they set the stage, don't they?
Exactly. They provide the whole backdrop for the experience of being there.
And that's where the second source really comes alive. Because knowing the place is one thing,
Right.
but the material then dives deep into the experience of moving through it. Specifically Nordic walking. Here's where it gets really interesting.
It shifts, yeah, from the facts to the feeling.
Totally. It becomes much more reflective, almost like poetic about what it feels like to Nordic walk there.
It gets into the internal landscape, right? The sense of connection that can happen, not just the physical park, but the mental space it creates.
Yes, and the sources capture that so well. Starting with this idea that your movement actually mirrors nature.
How so?
They say every step you take mirrors the rhythm of the stream. Your poles, your feet, they echo the gentle current of Shingle Creek.
Yeah.
It's about syncing up.
That's a lovely image. Finding a rhythm with the place.
And there's this wisdom drawn from nature's pace. The source says, nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. Nordic walking, with its steady rhythm, sort of invites you to adopt that. It suggests, maybe progress isn't always about speed. Maybe it's about slowing down, being intentional.
That makes sense. The poles themselves almost force a certain deliberateness.
Right. And the material describes using the poles in this really interesting way. Let your poles plant like roots, steady and intentional.
Like roots grounding you.
Exactly. It turns the physical act into a metaphor for grounding yourself, connecting you to the earth, which helps with stability, obviously, but also, the sources suggest, with mental presence.
And that focus on presence carries over into breathing, too.
It does. There's this reflection. Breathe with the trees, slow, deep, present. Like consciously inhaling the smell of the earth, the water, exhaling with gratitude, using the forest rhythm to find your own calm.
Which connects to the idea that the quiet outside helps quiet the inside.
Precisely. The source says, a quiet path invites a quiet mind. When the external noise fades, the internal chatter can settle down. You find clarity. Walking becomes a moving meditation.
Interesting. So it's not about zoning out, but zoning in.
Exactly. The material suggests the movement actually sharpens your awareness. Movement reveals the moment.
Reveals the moment.
By helping you notice the little things. The sunlight through the leaves, pine needles on the path, the feel of the boardwalk. It emphasizes that this kind of walking is more than exercise.
It's about being fully present.
Yeah, which leads to this beautiful analogy in the sources. Walking the trail is like writing a poem with your body.
Wow, okay. Tell me more.
Each stride, each pole plant. It's like a verse. The trail is the parchment, nature is the muse. It frames the whole thing as this creative, expressive act.
That's a powerful way to think about just walking.
Isn't it? And the creek isn't just a rhythm to mirror. The sources say it teaches lessons. About detours, for instance.
Detours.
Yeah. The flow of the creek reminds us that detours are natural. Just like the water finds its way around things, the idea is to learn to follow life's unexpected turns, not fight them.
Go with the flow, literally.
Right. And that links to how the material talks about strength. It says, strength isn't speed, it's staying grounded.
Okay. So not about pushing harder, faster.
No. It's about a deeper strength found in that connection to your breath, your body, the earth. A kind of quiet resilience.
Resilience. I like that.
Which kind of builds up to what feels like the core message. Life flows smoother when we stop resisting.
Stop resisting. What? Like tension, worry.
Yeah, exactly. Like the creek gliding over rocks, learning to release that tightness, that urgency. The material suggests that letting go of resistance brings ease, flow, even joy.
Finding ease by not fighting it.
Seems to be the idea.
Okay, so pulling all of this together.
Yeah, so what does this all mean? Looking at both parts of the material you shared, it seems like the specific physical reality of Shingle Creek being an urban oasis, the headwaters, the history, the different environments.
Right, the boardwalks, the wilder bits.
That whole physical context creates the perfect setting for these really specific, mindful reflections that come up during Nordic walking. The place isn't just scenery, it actually enables the experience.
Yeah, it really highlights how knowing about a place, its features, its story, can actually deepen your experience when you're just, moving through it. And it shows how simple activities, things we might just think of as exercise, like walking,
Right.
can actually become these pathways to, well, pretty profound insights and moments of peace, even somewhere unexpected like this Florida urban oasis.
It really connects the outer landscape with the inner one. So as you, our listener, think about this deep dive, the place, the experience, which specific part really resonates most strongly with you right now? Is it the history, the nature, the feeling of grounded movement? We've covered a lot, from the concrete facts about Shingle Creek Regional Park, its ecology, its past, right through to the really rich internal experience described in the Nordic walking reflections.
The sources really gave us both a map of the place and kind of a guide to a certain mindset for being in it.
Absolutely. A physical map and a mental one.
So maybe a final thought for you to chew on after this deep dive. Something building on these themes.
Okay, what have you got?
How can that resilience the sources talk about, the strength found in staying grounded on a trail, how might that apply to navigating the inevitable detours the unexpected turns in your own life.
That's a good one. Taking the lesson off the trail.
Or maybe think about this. How could you start to write a poem with your own movement today, wherever you happen to be? How could you bring that kind of mindful presence to just moving through your day?
Bringing that awareness anywhere. Lots to think about.